All right, it's Saturday once again, and my name is Pastor Alexander Red of the Gracious Hope Bible Fellowship. But this is the Gracious Hope podcast, and this platform is geared toward preserving and also promoting the Liberian Christian heritage. Liberia, as we know, has a rich culture. Liberian culture is a rich tapestry woven with vibrant traditions, music, the arts, dance, and a strong sense of community. At the heart of Liberian society lies a deep rooted value for social cohesion, where unity and togetherness form the bedrock of daily life. From colorful celebrations to heartfelt rituals, the essence of Liberian culture shines through its people unwavering commitment to connection and harmony. So join me now on this podcast as we explore the captivating tapestry of the Liberian culture and the profound significance of social cohesion within its communities. And today we title our podcast Exploring the Liberian Culture and Social Cohesion. Why is it important for us to have social cohesion or to understand our culture better after years of war? Well, it is important because reconciliation is what we seek now. Unity is what we seek. Peace is what we seek. Justice, we seek justice as well. And there's a whole myriad of factors that we can characterize Liberia as a republic. However, this particular podcast today will be focusing on the arts, music, and some other cultural factors that characterize our country, Liberia, as a republic and also as a country that is distinct, or we can distinguish ourselves by what we do as our culture. And so we have our special guest here today, Mr. C. Wallace Smith Jr., who is a Liberian journalist. We worked together at DC 101.1 FM back in Liberia, and he is here to talk more about the arts, the music, the culture, what binds us together, what can we identify as our culture in this particular generation. And so he will be providing his insights, and I hope you will participate as well. What makes you a Liberian? How can you identify yourself? Why, when we talk about culture, what comes to mind? And so you can make your comments below. What is on your mind regarding our culture and how you perceive our culture to be, and what can you say that will identify you based on your social activities, as well as things that you are used to doing in your interaction? What makes you a typical Liberian? And so all of these things, we'll be talking about them today on this podcast. And once again, welcome. This is the Gracious Hope Live podcast. Unfortunately, the co-host of this program, Reverend Suarez Dede, is not in. Hopefully, he'll be back here next Saturday. So it's just going to be me and our guest today. And so if you are just joining us, please share this link with your friends, your families, and your loved ones so that they can be a part of this podcast today, because we have a whole lot to cover. And like I said, comment, okay? Opine. Say what is on your mind regarding your culture. We will be right back. Don't go away. We'll be right back, okay, with our guest. Great, great, great. Welcome back. And if you're just joining us, welcome back and to the podcast. And we have our special guest here today, Mr. C. Wallace Smith Jr. And Mr. Smith Jr. is going to uh, gave his perspective on the Liberian culture and social cohesion. There's a lot we have to cover here, and we want you to participate. Okay, please participate. Anything that comes to mind. I mean, what is missing in our culture today, and what we can do to make our culture better. What brings us together as one people, and we all seek for peace and unity now with a new government. We want to see a change. We all yearn for change, and this change is all about what binds us together. And so we welcome our special guest, Mr. C. Wallace Smith Jr. Welcome, Mr. Smith, to the Gracious Hope Live podcast today. We are so glad to see you.
Thank you, Alex. It's always a pleasure to reconnect with your old buddy. We've come a long
Yes.
way, and we knew many, many years ago when we started off that the burden of moving our country forward would one day fall on our shoulders. Now is such a time. We have to prove to our children, our grandchildren, and our great great grandchildren, and to posterity that we have what it takes and we will do what it takes to make Liberia the country that it should be. I'm glad to be here and I'm looking forward to a great discussion.
Great, great, great. Now, you have an affinity for the arts, music. You believe that music and the arts can bring us together, can bond us together. And now Liberia is yearning for unity where uh, we also see trust up in the air, trust in the institution of government, and also binding people together. You believe that the arts or the music they can bring us together as one people. From your perspective so far, looking at Liberia with all this tumultuous history, and now we are on a trajectory anticipating that we now will see with clear eye to have a society where peace and unity prevail through our commonality, things that bring us together. What do you think right now if you think about our culture and we look at our culture, we look at our social values and the deep seated value for cohesion as a nation?
So, the first thing, arts, culture, those are things that we so easily relegate to the lower ranks, of society, the lower rungs of our socioeconomic uh, development. The truth is, those are things that should be at the very top of it. Imagine Renaissance Europe without the arts. Imagine Greece, ancient Greece, without Socrates or Aristotle or Plato, without Greek mythology. So Hercules, Pegasus. Imagine that.
Mhm.
Imagine ancient Egypt without the pyramids, without, the papyrus scrolls, without the Sphinx and all of those things, without all those carvings. You can't even imagine any society without culture, without arts, is a dark place, a very dark place. Without the arts, without music, without dance, without cinema, theater, sculpture, pottery, carvings, literature, without those things, we are just a people without a soul. Liberia will be a nation dark and one without a soul. When you leave and go to any country to visit, where you go is to the museums. You go to take a look at their arts. You take a look at their sculpture. You listen to their music. You wanna you wanna eat their food. You wanna dance their dance. You wanna read their literature, because it is arts and culture that defines who we are as a people. It is what distinguishes us from other people. So your culture, your art makes you you and not somebody else. And without arts and without culture, we will be indistinguishable from the lower animals.
Hmm.
Liberia without arts and without culture, it would just be another jungle. Even with skyscrapers and roads and bridges, would still be another jungle because we are people without color, we are people without an identity.
Yeah.
That's how important our culture and arts is.
Yes, yes, and I agree with you there. But looking at Liberian traditions, music, and dance, and if we look back, we see some of our compatriots singing patriotic songs, like the Morris Dolly, Miata family, and the list goes on, right? Fatu Gifler, and I remember when I was growing up. I used to, when it's Christmas, we'll go to Brushore Island and we'll see all of these festivities going on, and it just inclined me to be more Liberian. Are we missing these festivals or festivities, or what can we do as a people now to weave in who we are as people through music, dance, traditions, and other things?
We have to change the way we see arts and culture. We have a Ministry of Information, Culture Affairs, and Tourism, but unfortunately, that ministry have had an over concentration on just information. We are people that love politics. If it's not politics, then it's not important. If it's not politics, it's not worth talking about. And so there's been this over concentration on just information at the Ministry of Culture Affairs, and there's been a total neglect of culture and tourism. Now, Brother Pia just got nominated, and I
Yeah.
pray he gets confirmed as the new minister. And my appeal to Brother Pia would be that he show himself different from his predecessors and focus on arts and culture, because that's a part of his responsibility. Thank God we have a presidential press secretary who seems to be pretty active. And so, Brother Pia's job will be to have a high level view of government policies and to talk about it. And hopefully, he will give equal time
Yes.
and concentration to arts and culture. But Liberia has always been a country that has valued arts and culture.
Mhm.
If you go to Ijeroy, you see the carvings of Arvanja Richards. It's on the wall. If you go to the Centennial Pavilion, you would see sculpture.
Yeah.
Those were there. You know, the normal progression of society is that we will keep moving up. Even if that ascendancy is slow, but we will keep moving up. In Liberia, we have regressed.
Hmm.
So we've gone backwards instead of gone forward. Kinija was totally destroyed because an investor of all the places in Liberia thought he wanted our National Culture Center. And our government allowed that to happen. And so they demolished the Culture Center with the promise of relocating it to Marshall. I don't think that relocation materialized. Today, we do not have a National Culture Center. That act by itself
Hmm.
is a denigration of our culture. It shows absolute total disrespect and neglect from the very highest levels. of our political leadership for arts and culture in Liberia.
Yes, and it is, and I understand that part of President Boaka's agenda is to resurrect, or may I say, revive our culture and tourism. Okay, and when I look back and look at some of the festivities outlined last year, celebrating the bicentennial of Liberia, where African Americans visited Liberia. I remember this actor, famous actor from the which one the show is that Rush Hour or from the good old days with
You
the
mean
guy
John
who used to
Amos?
say dynamite. Yeah,
John Amos from
yes,
Good Times.
yes, good times. Yes, they visited Liberia, and some Liberians, saw him and they welcomed him, and and I'm not sure how the entire celebration went because it took, I think, over a few months. Few months they were celebrating under the WIA administration. But all in all, I was wondering what they actually display or highlight as some of the cultural artifacts and our traditions, our music, and things that bind us together as a nation. I'm not sure if that all of those things or factors are intact, given that we know that through our traditions, our music, our arts, and even artifacts, they show some sense of strong patriotism. And patriotism is what we need right now. In addition to that, we also need the spirit of nationalism. And because of the trust factor in governmental institutions, uh, the young generation seems to be apathetic about it, kind of laid back. They don't really understand what it means to be a Liberian and how you can promote your culture. And I say this, for example, if you listen to most of the music on the radio, the other Western music, or they are from other countries like Ghana, Nigeria, and the list goes on for South Africa and other places, you don't find a whole lot of Liberian taste of music and other things. And if you go to a wedding, typical Liberian wedding, the clothes they wear, the attire is either Nigerian or Ghanaian. And so we see this CMX shift going on, and our typical Liberian way of dressing and the way we appear when it comes to when are kind of going away gradually. And so this is a very serious problem that I see that other people see, and um, orientate me, I say, or to reorient the young generation about, hey, this is Liberia, this is what we have, this is what we do here. But most of the music you listen to, the other side more like other countries. Now, let us look at the music industry as a whole. What is your latest take on that? What is your latest take on that? Do we have a vibrant music industry that will promote our culture, our values, and what we stand for as a people?
Um, I would say of all the different forms of arts in Liberia, the one that have progressed tremendously, that have made um, market improvement is music. And I got to give credit to the young Liberian artists out there. There's so many of them that are doing well now. And part of the reason they're doing well is because they don't have to depend on their government. They don't have to depend on the largesse of the so-called economic or political or social elite in Liberia to promote them
Mhm.
or to lend value to their craft. They have YouTube now. They have Instagram. They have Facebook. They have iTunes. They have all of these different platforms now that they can put their music on, and people all around the world can hear it, download it, pay for it, value it, share it, and as a result of that, more and more Liberian artists are doing much better
Mm.
than those that came before them. Most of them can own their own cars now. They can build homes. They get to travel to come to the diaspora and do concerts. They are forming collaborations with big artists in Nigeria and Ghana, but we still got a long way to go.
Yeah.
We still got a long way to go. I mean, think about Morris Dolly, the effect he had on Liberian culture and Liberian arts,
Mhm.
music, and see the life he lived and how he passed. Take a look at Tikman Nimlin
Yes.
and the life he lived. Now I know because for some of these artists, I interacted with them and I played with them. I played numerous times on the same stage with Tikman Nimlin. These are some of the best
Yeah.
musical minds we had. People that made enormous contribution to the arts, but they couldn't afford. They were still living just above the poverty line. And I understand Tikwan got sick, and the country turned his back. He couldn't afford it. He wasn't able to be taken out of the country. You know, I'm not sure all of the circumstances surrounding how he passed, but I believe strongly that if we value our arts and by extension our artists, and if we promoted it and we rewarded our artists, respected them, some of these things that happened to our artists would not have happened. But all the young guys today in the diaspora back home, you know, my hat off to them. Um, Tycoon J, D12, MC Cairo, Teddy Ride, you know, CIC, Lucky Bucket Raw, you know, all these young people. Bone Dust is probably one of my favorite. I think the song he made, Technique, is going to be a Liberian classic. But you got people, you know, hip hop music.
Hmm.
I love hip hop music because it is uniquely Liberian. But it just happened. It is this new generation of Liberian musicians that crafted it, have promoted it, and today is the most dominant form of music in Liberia today. And
Hmm.
yeah, they do play it a lot at Liberian festivities, weddings, you know, graduation programs and stuff. So to that, I would say our musicians are doing well,
Hmm.
you
And,
know,
and
but we
mhm.
but we as a people, we as a government have very little to do with it. Have very little to do with it. What is the Ministry of Information doing to help Liberian artists? We have a Liberian Musician Union, but it too has its challenges, and I don't think it's ever gotten strong enough to make any significant impact, you know, in moving the industry forward. So all of the progress that Liberian musicians made, that primarily have been doing it on their own with the support of outside sources, and mainly these IT platforms, these social media platforms. So so music is doing okay. It can do a lot more, a lot better if the government would incentivize it. But took a look at culture. You got Kekura Kamara,
Hmm.
one of the greatest. He's there. And he's still, because they love the art, he's still struggling
Yeah.
to keep it alive. He's getting Very minimal, if any, support at all. Not from the private sector, not from government. You know, I know you have Ambassador Julie Andy. She has her organization, and I know sometimes she get criticized. I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't criticize Miss Andy. Miss Andy is providing a service that technically the government should be providing, but the government has shown no interest in providing it, and so she's stepping in.
Yeah.
So when you have inauguration, or you have or you have Independent Day celebration, and we invite foreign guests, you want to put up a display of Liberian culture, right? Now
Yes.
we don't have a national culture troupe. We don't have
Wow.
an organized culture supported by the government. So Miss Andy comes and she uses her private organization. Of course, they pass it off. The
Yeah.
government will pass it off as though it's the national culture troupe, but it's privately owned. And because it's privately owned, she has to fight and take money out of her own pocket to do it. And so there's not much improvement there because she has her own limits. And I think successive government has had enjoyed that because it is cheaper for them to just give Miss Andy some money and have her organization come and perform, and then they go and they got nothing to do with it anymore. As opposed to putting money in the budget to support the sector,
Yeah.
which would be millions of dollars. They don't want to do that. So they take that money and put it into salaries and amenities for government officials, unnecessary travels and all of that. And then the only time they think culture is important is when they're getting foreign guests
Yes.
on Independence Day or inauguration. Then you want to put up a display of Liberian culture. And then, we don't have any culture troupe. We don't have any national culture center. We don't have any of that. Oh, let's just get Miss Andy.
Hmm.
She has her organization, and we can let them come and perform, and we can give them, give her a few dollars. That's the way they've been doing it. So I think some of the criticism against Miss Andy is unfounded because at least she's there.
Mm-hmm.
What if she wasn't there? Nobody will be performing. Nobody will be doing anything because the government has refused to do it. The government has refused to do it. They've shown absolutely no will to invest in Liberian culture and Liberian arts. Then you talk about all the other people that are painters and carvers and sculptors.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're there. They all just doing it on their own. And I'm glad, because people think when you're involved in the arts, then you are of a lesser intellectual level,
Mm-hmm.
and it is this nonsensical, belief that people have that somehow negatively impacted the arts. So what me, and other people, I believe, are trying to do now is to put our resources, put our gifts, put our talent, put our time into trying to promote the arts. We will love to get help from the government. We'll love to see the government get involved and play its role.
Mm-hmm.
Because the truth is, arts is not private.
Yeah.
It's public. The reason it's public is because it's what defines us as Liberians.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to hip hop music because it's Liberian music and I'm Liberian. Why wouldn't the president take interest in it? Why wouldn't the minister of finance or the minister of information take interest in it?
Or even the Ministry of Interior as well.
The Ministry of Interior. I remember during the Talbot administration, the way the culture industry was structured, they had satellite campuses in different counties.
Hmm.
They have satellite centers in different counties, and what those centers would do was to create recruit young men and women that could dance, the cultural dance, that were very good at beating the samba or
Mhm.
playing other traditional instruments, that were gifted in the Liberian arts. And they will come to these local centers, and then eventually they will bring them, the best of them will come to Monrovia, and they will live at the National Culture Center. And they will be part of the National Culture Troop.
Hmm.
So, but they were recruiting from the different counties, you know, and I believe that's how a lot of these people got recruited and they came to Monrovia. You
Yeah.
know, I don't know all their stories, you know, but think about our cultural greats: ZTT, Nima Bird, you know, Tyler Kunkwa,
Fatu
you know,
Gifla,
Fatu Giflaw, and all of these people.
Zach and Jiva.
All of these people,
Yeah, there's
you
a
know,
lot.
I mean, and today is almost like we've turned our backs on them. Some of them are still around, but these are cultural icons. These are our arts greats. But that system can be redeveloped. It's there.
Yeah.
We need to redevelop it. We need to improve it. We need to have regional culture centers.
Yes.
We need to establish regional culture center, one one in the west, one in the east, one in central Liberia, and then we have the National Culture Center back in Monrovia.
In
I
Monrovia.
understand they give the government got a place in Marshall. I'm not sure how big that place is, you know, but that center needs to be reestablished. And then we
Yes.
need somewhere for the performing arts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It used to be EJ Raw. We used to go there to either have talent shows. Um, there's nowhere in Liberia now for the performing arts.
Yeah, and I remember way back, high school days, we had a musical group. We used to call ourselves the Reckless, and we'll have talent shows,
The
and
Reckless.
we'll go back there. But it kind of gave me a sense of belonging. It gave me a sense of patriotism, and it gave me a sense of expression or expressing my own talents, that I have. Likewise, others. But we don't know whether those things are still going on, whether most Liberians who have the talents can express that with the support, the full support of the government and also even of the private sector as a whole. Because if you're an artist and you have something to express artistically, um, you will want to reap some sort of dividends, because you have to sustain yourself. And you were just talking about the story of Tikwan, what is his name, Tikwan?
Nimley. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, how he passed away, he was sick. And so to preserve our culture and our traditions and everything that typically characterize us as a people with a strong sense of community needs to be revived. And I understand that the Ministry of Information and Tourism uh, will focus on reviving the tourism sector of the country. If I'm not sure, if I think the president will allocate budget for that, but then we don't have a national cultural troop. We don't have a national cultural center. And I like what you said about having regional cultural centers that will communicate with the main cultural center, the national cultural center in Morovia, where they can. And I propose in this book here, in my new book, uh, cultivating Liberia's national pride, about how we need to set up these cultural centers, national cultural centers in every region, like what you were saying too, where annually they will plan a program. It could be in a county, and it will invite all Liberians. It should be set up, let us set up a time where it will be like maybe a national holiday where we'll have festivals, and then families can go there. Like if I'm a dad, mom, take my children there for them to see some of the things that bind us together, people performing the performing arts, so they can see the artifacts and how we do things traditionally. And that of course will instill a sense of belonging and patriotism in our child's life growing up, and they will know their root. But that is missing right now in our country, and we don't have a national cultural troop. We don't have a national cultural center, and we believe that the government can see reason to invest in a particular sector. It will, reap dividend not just only for the government in light of tourism, but also it will instill that sense of patriotism which we lack right now, even among the adults and the young generation. We'll take a break here, and we'll be back. My name is Alexander Red. I'm the host here, and our special guest here is Mr. C. Wallace Smith Jr. And we are talking about Liberian culture, exploring Liberian culture and social cohesion. What brings us together? We'll be right back. Please don't go away. We'll take a break here. And this break that we're taking, we want to bring on one of our artists here. Her name is Canvy. And this is called Daily Prayer. And she released this song, I believe, 2 years ago. But it is still vibrant, and I love it.
Lead me not into temptation, oh God, but deliver me from evil. Amen. Lord, I hope this day is good, and I'm feeling empty and misunderstood. I should be thankful, Lord, and yes, I am. Lord, I pray this day is good. Yeah, 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 yeah. Lord, I pray this day is good. Lord, have you forgotten me? I've been praying to you faithfully, and I'm not saying I'm a righteous one. God, I hope you understand. Mama, mama, God, I hope you understand. For you're the one who did do I'm for thee, and you're the light that lights my way. And as I go today and my daily hustle, Lord, I hope this day is good. As I go on my usual hustle, lead me not into evil tussle. Deliver all the best that today has for me. Lord, I pray this day is good. I don't need fortune and I don't need fame. Send down thunder, Lord, send down rain. But when you're planning just how it will be, plan a good day for me. For me. Lord, I hope this day is good. And I'm feeling empty and misunderstood. I should be thankful, Lord, and yes, I am. Lord, I pray this day is good. Yeah, Lord, I pray this day is good. Lord, have you forgotten me? I've been praying to you faithfully, and I'm not saying I'm a righteous one. God, I hope you understand. Yeah. Lord, I hope you understand. For you're the one who did do I'm for thee, and you're the light that lights my way. And as I go today and my daily hustle, Lord, I hope this day is good. As I go on my usual hustle, lead me not into evil tussle. Deliver all the best that today has for me. from me from every evil. Lord, I pray this day. God, please bless my daily hope. Lord, I pray this day. God, please bless my daily soul. Lord, I pray this day. Our Father who art in heaven. Lord, I pray this day. Hallowed be thy name. Lord, I pray this day. Thy name and thy Lord, I pray this day is good. And deliver all the best that today has for me. Lord, I pray this day is good.
All right, that was beautiful, and that is Canvey Adams, and of course, it's from her album. And this song, particular song, is "Daily Prayer." You know, the interesting thing is that a white lady in one of the chat rooms, she emailed me or no texted me like many times, more than what, 4 or 5 times. What is that lady who was in the African dress? You know, you play her song on your podcast, and I really love her song, and I really feel a visit in Liberia. I was like, really? She said, yeah. And then I got the video, got the name of the title of the song, and then texted her back. But she said, look, I just love the production. I love the wordings. And no, she went to YouTube. They got a place where you can click and then see the transcript of all the words. And she said, I looked through it. She said, yes, she's part of her country. And besides that, she put God's first, because this song is all about daily prayer, how we need to pray and how we have to uh, wrap our lives around, prayer and all of that. And that will enable us to see a brighter day. And so we see that Liberians have the talent, they have the talent, they have the skills. And besides music, there are other things that they do. Like you were talking about how Liberians can do sculpturing, If you look at E.J. Roy, if you look at the pavilion where they normally have that, the most of our events, you can see diverse paintings and sculpture that can really, it is a telltale for most visitors, those who come on tourism. But I believe we need to do more, because our culture is rich with that vibrant tradition, music, dance, and artifacts. But they need to be explored, and they need support. Now, bringing back the whole sense of patriotism as a whole can be weaved or woven into what identify us as a common people, our traditions and things that we know, our custom and all of that. But if you look at the rest of the country, I'm not sure if all of these things that we're talking about, or factors we are talking about, uh, being supported there, because most of the time we're talking about culture, Liberian arts, we focus on the Montserrat County, the seat of government. How can we change that?
So all these people that have uh, different political positions, arts is inherently political. That's the first thing, right?
Mm,
So anybody think that arts is just wholly apolitical, that's not true. Because arts is having an idea, having a thought, having an opinion, or having a point of view, but having the freedom to express
mhm,
that idea, that point of view, that opinion in a way that is opposition that is oppositional to the normative view, the one that is fed to us by the media, the one that is given to us by our political leaders. They want you to have an opinion that is aligned with theirs. They influence your opinion, they influence your point of view. Artists don't do that. Artists are perhaps the most independent thinkers that you will find,
mhm,
and they find expression for that through their songs, through their paintings, through their dance. And that's what somebody like Tycoon J would do, will sing a song like De La. That was a protest song against the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf government, because he said all the promises you made, you didn't fulfill any of those promises.
mhm,
That's why you had a consortium of Liberian artists, this collaboration of Liberian artists that sang, Pot Not Balling. It's a great song, what they talk about, in Liberia now you have the decode to cover hole, or, songs like One Man, One Cup, No Crust for a Dog. You see, hip hop music has emerged as the conscience of the Liberian society today.
Mm-hmm.
Hip hop artists are now discussing every possible ill in the society. They're talking about every issue: social issues, economic issues, religious issues,
Politics,
women issues, gender issues, political issues. They have covered the whole gambit of it. That's the connection between music and politics, the arts and politics. Because arts is the conscience of society.
Mm-hmm.
So now talking about what we can do. You got superintendents in these different counties. These superintendents should be interested in developing the arts in their county. Each county in Liberia is unique.
Mm-hmm.
In their culture, in their dance, in their mask,
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when we were in high school, I was fortunate to go to a high school that was steep in arts and culture. It was one of the most important aspects of our education, of our formal education. And so we were immersed in it. We used to have something called the culture series every year, and they would bring all the traditional masked dancers from all the counties. At that time, it was less than 16 counties. And they would bring them, and they would be spread out all over campus, and they would dance, and you could go from one station to another and talk to the people there and ask them about the mask and about what it meant and they would talk to you about it. And we would look forward to it. And this is the Lakira Baptist Mission School under Reverend Dr. Jeremiah W. Walker. And before him, Andrew Brooks. And so they instill in you, the importance of culture, the importance of arts. But these people were there. Nobody was calling them. Somebody like Jeremiah Walker took interest in it and said he would bring them to do it. All the superintendents, you got traditional dancers in your county. You got traditional singers in your county. You got traditional instrumentalists in your county. There are some instruments that are uniquely from Lofa.
Mm-hmm.
You got traditional singers in Lofa that probably never been to Monrovia before since they were born. And they're in villages and towns in Lofa, in Bassa, in Grand Jida, Nimba, and Grand Kipman, all these places. And somehow we just discard them as though they're not part of our culture, they're not part of our arts, but they're there. I believe it was in the 50s or 60s that a professor from one of the American universities went to Liberia and recorded hundreds of hours of traditional Liberian music. And it's here in America. It's some film. It's here in America. At some museum or some university. It's here. Hundreds of hours of Liberian traditional music. That means you go to the villages and towns and listen to the people sing with the sasa and all of that. These are people, unless you went to the villages and to the towns and you witnessed some cultural event where the women came out and danced and sang, you will never hear that music anywhere because that music is not usually recorded. That's not the kind of music where the artist is going to go to a recording studio and record. No. They're not interested in stuff like that because for them, singing, dancing, and all of that is indistinguishable from their daily lives. It's the way they live. That's not, and so superintendents can go out there and they can promote their arts from their individual counties.
Yeah. And in addition to superintendents, we also have representatives from those
from the
counties
different
that
districts.
deal with
Yeah,
budget in the
senators from
district. Yeah, they can
senators
help
from
too.
you
Hmm.
know, instead of going around and putting and padding the budget with these uh 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 uh, poke barrel uh, 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 projects that only they can benefit from because you got your name on the school, and so you're putting money there for that school. And that's another thing.
Yeah,
You have all these schools, universities, community colleges. None of them teach the arts.
yeah.
You got the University of Liberia, right?
Hmm.
Well, the only extracurricular activity at the university is to go under the palava hut and and chant
Yeah,
political slogans.
yeah,
Now you wonder why we have a lot of half-educated people in Liberia, and you have a lot of one-track-minded people, unidirectional people in Liberia, because these kids go and they get this education, and everything they're educated about are things that got nothing to do with creativity. Let me tell you this: 70% of CEOs in America says that when they're interviewing people for managerial positions at their organizations, the primary skill to look for is creativity, innovation.
yeah,
Not the school you graduated from, not how much degree you got. They look for creativity, they look for innovation. And the only place you can get it from is through the arts. Because you know what? The way math and science, the way and engineering, the way those disciplines are taught, they're taught just straightforward without creativity and all that.
yeah,
But those who become the best at it, that those who already have some foundation in the arts. So when your child is going to school and they give him a trombone to play or whatever, don't discourage him. Let him play. He's not going to
yeah,
be he may not be a trombone player. He may not be, a trumpet player. He may never do music again. But what he gets from there is the ability to think creatively.
yes.
And it is that creative thinking he takes now with him when he becomes an engineer,
Hmm.
an architect, a scientist, a mathematician. And
Yes,
that's how he becomes the greatest at what he does, because he has both that technical skill and he has the ability to think creatively. So we have all these institutions in Liberia that don't teach the arts, don't have any arts programs whatsoever. And so people just coming out of there, and we've politicized everything in Liberia to the extent where politics is now its only path
yeah,
to social and economic success in Liberia. Join a political party at the university, you know, protests, join a political party, a national political party, pray that your party wins, and then you become somebody.
yeah.
Even if your party didn't win, get on the air, you know, sometimes, just attack people,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know, be out there, be the mouthpiece for somebody, tear somebody down, and you become famous because your face is out there, your voice is out there, and the next and you get in a position, you
Yeah.
know.
And that is sad to say. And if we look at the government creating the atmosphere or the environment for um, for people to flourish in whatever they have learned or whatever gift that they have, that's another issue. Foreign investment coming in, business or developing the private sector to offer more jobs. Um, we know that the government has been short in providing that for the populace. Um, just before we close here, we have like about 4 more minutes, but in a summary here, sometimes our traditions or our culture or custom, they tend to collide with some of the traditional Christian values, giving back the history of our country's foundation. That is the forming a country as a republic the Christian values and principles um, upon which the pioneers or those who came, the indigenous people on the ground, but they were able to influence the populace in a way where the Christian tradition is predominant in every part of the country or most part of the country. Now, if the Christian tradition at times clashes with the traditional customs and other values, cultural values we have. So, for example, female uh, genital mutilation, okay, was a big issue, okay, and it was resolved quite recently, I believe a year ago, where the vice president, Honorable President Weah, Joel Howard, and the United Nations and some other traditional leaders, they were able to abolish that female genital mutilation. They were able to abolish that, so we don't have that anymore. Um, from your perspective, there might be some other harmful practices going on that I might not be aware of, or you may not be aware of, that can somehow collide with our values. How do you um, see that to have
Well,
a vibrant culture?
um, arts and culture evolve.
Mhm,
They're not static. Today we have hip hop. We didn't have hip hop 30 years ago.
mhm,
It's a new genre of music. Music in Liberia has evolved. Today, you have more political songs, more artists discussing social, economic, and political issues than we did 50 years ago.
mhm,
That's an evolution. Things are evolving. So, to the extent that we identify things in our artistic tradition, in our cultural tradition, that we now deem detrimental to the society, we now deem inimical to our common good, then we can take a look at it and see how we can change that without being offensive
mhm,
to those that practice it. We have to be very careful, because if it is a part of our culture, it means there are people that believe in it, there are people that practice it, and everything that the people believe in, everything that people practice, they have a reason for it.
mhm,
They have a reason for it. You may not agree with their reason, and some of these things are age-old practices that they've been doing for generations and generations and generations. And the thing with generational practices is usually the new generation doesn't ask why it was done.
mhm,
So you see somebody, the stories is told about a lady that make the food, and every time she uses a particular spoon, a particular size of spoon, and to do with the stir.
mhm,
And one day somebody asked her, "But why do you do that? Why can't you?" The daughter wanted to use another spoon. She said, no, you don't use that spoon for this. This is the spoon you use to stir this. And so her daughter asked her one day, "Why? Why can't I use this spoon?" She says, "Because I learned how to do this with my mom. That's the spoon my mom used to use. That's how my mom did it." But you see, she never asked her mom why her mom was using that particular spoon.
hmm,
Maybe there was a reason she was using that particular spoon. Maybe it had to do with the pot she was using. But she never asked. But she just kept doing it.
mhm,
But this new generation dared to ask. And her mom didn't have an answer for it. Well, I'm doing it because that's the way it's done. That's the way it's usually done. That's the way I learned how to do it. So you see, and that's the reason why we can take a break and re-examine some of these different aspects of our culture and see where change is necessary. And this is one of the attributes of the arts. The arts prompts you to think. It compels you to take a second look. and it can change cemented views. Arts would do that to you.
Yeah.
People define arts in so many different ways, right? You can define arts as so much different meaning for arts, but the effect that arts has on us as humans is indefinable. It's unquantifiable. It's immeasurable
Yes.
because the way it impacts you, it may not impact me that way. You can listen to a song right now and
Hmm.
start dancing, and you'll be in a celebratory mood. And I listen to the same song, and it saddens me because it probably gin up bad memories. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm thinking on a dead relative who liked the song, or it might gin up nostalgic feelings in somebody else. And that's the reason why, when it comes to things like that, it's very complicated because you don't know how people react to certain
Yeah.
aspects of our culture. But the discussion needs to be had. And to the extent that we think changes would serve the common good, we need to do it.
Yeah, we need to do it, and we need for this government to have a cultural ambassador, and also revive our cultural center by allocating budget for that, and looking forward to working with representatives of all of the counties and the superintendents to see how our cultural activities can be revived. We need that. We need that, and that of course will forge a sense of reconciliation because after many years of war, we still have people grieving in our heart for what happened to their families, and some of the memories still live on. And we believe that music or our cultural arts can play a significant role in reconciling and mending the broken hearts as a whole. And also, I would like to introduce this book to you. This is my new book. It's on Amazon.com and also BN.com, Barnes and Noble. It is rich in the research regarding how we can be more patriotic, and from adulthood to the young generation. And it tells a story about how Liberians are resilient in everything that we have gone through. Yet we shouldn't forget our roots. And the more we get back to our traditions and culture and things that we do socially, knowing that they can bring us together in reconciliation and restoring trust in our institutions, yes, we will be displaying what we call patriotism. And so I titled this book, Cultivating Liberia's National Pride. Having pride in your country means loving your country, your loyalty, your commitment, and seeing the good in everyone, and believing that everyone's talents, gifts, and abilities can be bind together to build a vibrant society. So it is available on Amazon.com. It's a new book that is up. It was released on January the 23rd. And so get a copy is 19.99. It's not that much because I want for this book to be in the hands of every Liberian. And so you can get an e version if you live in Liberia. You can just order it right online. You get it right there on your phone, and you can just read it if you want to, which is 9.99, but $10 for the e version, and then the book itself is 19.99. And we've been talking about exploring Liberian culture and social cohesion with our special guest, uh, C. Wallace Smith Jr. And just before we leave here, Mr. Smith, your dad, C. Wallace Smith Sr., he was a prominent man in our society and in politics. And tell a little bit about your dad,
Well, I mean,
please.
um, with my, I come, I've been blessed, you know, um, growing up in the family that I grew up in, and the home that I grew up in, and the community that raised me. Uh, my dad was a journalist. He at one point was editor in chief of the Liberian news agency. He fell afoul of the Doe administration, and so he was removed from that position. Um, at one point, he had his own newspaper. That newspaper didn't last long. That was during the dual era. I still remember the newspaper office. It was a small hidden office. Was raided, and all of the all of the instruments were taken out. And my dad decided to go into politics.
Mm-hmm.
And he went into politics, and he was the founding chairman of Unity Party.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, we're not a very history-minded people, us Liberians, and it's so easy for us to forget those that came before us, those that laid foundations for us. We are people that just, out of mind, out of sight, out of mind, But yeah, my dad was the chairman of Unity Party at a time when it was difficult
Mm-hmm.
to be in the opposition in Liberia. Still remember the 1985 elections period. He was one of those that was on the front line fighting for change. He did go to prison a few times, but he continued fighting right up until he got sick and passed away. But in addition to him being a journalist and a politician, my dad was a pretty decent musician also. He was a pretty decent piano player. So was my grandmother, who they all had that day job. In the case of my father, he was a journalist, but he was a musician. He played the piano. He just mainly played for self-entertainment. My grandmother was a lawyer and an organist and a piano player, and she was choir director. She is the director of choir at the St. John's Episcopal Church in Lower Buchanan, Grand Bassa County. That's where I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
But she was a lawyer. She was and her father, his name was Jacob Coker. He was a concert pianist and a merchant. And so that tradition just got passed down. So I come from a group of people that had great respect for the arts because they themselves were involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
And they instilled that in me and all of my siblings. And Alex, I just want to congratulate you on both your books. I got the first one. I'm going to get the second one, and I'm going to read it. I'm going to read both of them, and I know we'll have the time to discuss it. And that's another thing, because literature is an integral part of our culture and our arts. Mm-hmm. Literature. And that is one aspect of our culture and arts that has progressed enormously. Again, without any involvement from the government. Every time there has been progress in the arts and culture in Liberia, especially post-conflict Liberia, it is because that progress is influenced by external sources. In the case of literature, that is because authors not going to the traditional publishing houses anymore.
Yeah.
Where you have a few gray-headed men that review your manuscript and parse it, and the thing is not good enough. People will not buy it. People will not like it, and they toss it. And you can't publish unless somebody at a publishing house think your work is good. Mm-hmm. No. Now you can do your book. They got basement publishers now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And you can be anywhere in the world now, and you can send your manuscript electronically to a publisher that take a look at it. And in fact, because there's so much diverse interest in a multiplicity of topics, exactly. You cannot tell any author now that, you can't publish his book because it's not going to be interesting, unless you have a niche audience that you want to sell to, and you think it's not going to be interesting to that to that. Otherwise, and that's the reason why we have so many Liberian authors now. And I congratulate Liberians for it. I understand there's a Liberian that set up a publishing house in Liberia.
Mhm.
You know, whoever that person is, thank you very much. And Amazon has provided a platform, you know, for books to be sold and all of that. And so congratulations to you, Alex, to my young brother, Joseph Akwezize, who just published his book called Sasawut. Congratulations to him. Congratulations to Mr. Fokwa Peewee, who I believe has published 2 books. He's a young man that I've dealt with as chairman of the Firestone Scholarship Committee. You know, and he's gone to do some great things. I'm very proud of him. I also want to congratulate Mr. Likwele Yamalon, who has published, I believe, 2 anthologies. So these are all young Liberians that are imbued with the gifts and talent. But 30 years ago, they would have never published. But they can easily do it today because the platform is there, the enabling environment has been created, albeit not by Liberia, not by our government, but by external sources.
Yeah.
And I think I will ask those in the Liberian government, if you can form partnership with the private sector.
Yeah.
Provide if you don't want to get involved in certain things, that's fine, but incentivize it. You know, so the guy that has his publishing house, give him tax break.
Yeah. Some incentive. Yeah.
Give him some incentive so that he'll be able to expand his publishing house. He'll be able to publish more, hire more people. That's what you do. You know, to our so-called economic elites. Look in America, you have the Carnegie Hall. Those were rich people. Andrew Carnegie put his money into the arts, building libraries and stuff. You have the Rockefeller Center. You got the Kennedy Center for the Arts. You know, that do Kennedy honors every year, honoring people in different aspects of American arts.
Yeah.
You know, why can't we do it? The arts is so important. That's the reason why they have the White House, you know, reporters dinner.
Yeah.
You know, because they bring all the reporters together and they bring a comedian to come and you diss one another so that you can cool the temperature.
And we have some comedians in Liberia too.
Brilliant comedians.
We need to create an avenue or the atmosphere for that, or the environment for that.
My brother Spider.
Yes.
It's brilliant. Quincy T and all these other guys we watch on TikTok and all of that. Yeah. Brilliant comedians.
Yes.
You know, but Liberian comedy, Liberian movies, all of these things, you know, so thanks to people like Frank Atus. I understand he and Shawana Kishal, they have a movie that's now going to be on Netflix.
Yeah, the movies. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Liberians watch going to be on Netflix.
Yeah, Liberians, you know, they watch a lot of Ghanaian and Nigerian movies, but we can produce ours too. And I know they are doing it, you know, in bit by bit because they lack the infrastructure or the logistics, but they try their best to get those, you know, like mini drama going on to portray everyday life.
Yes,
and all of that.
The comedy series and sitcoms.
Yeah,
remember
sitcoms.
we used to have, you know, series on TV in the 80s.
Like the Balawala.
That was a comedy series that was on, but and that was one of the greatest.
Yes.
You know, that was one of the greatest. You know, so
Balawala.
We had that. You had we had 3 Years of Crowd. That was a show that used to be on TV. That was a television series.
Yeah.
That was on. We used to, and it was episodic. We used to watch the different episodes every week. That was Liberia, you know, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And today we can't do what people were able to do 30, 40, 50 years ago. I mean, this government has its work cut up for it, and if the government thinks that um, just building roads and just investing in infrastructure development is what's going to move Liberia forward, will be sadly mistaken.
Yeah.
Because the infrastructure you're trying to develop now, they existed before. Ask
Yeah.
yourself, why don't they exist now? Because we destroyed it.
Yeah.
And that thinking, that mentality that caused us to do it still exists.
Yeah. And we
It
need to
still
change
exists.
that through the
How do we
expression of
change
the
that?
arts.
You got
Yeah.
all these young people that they go to school and come home and got no activity to get involved in.
No
And so
extra
what do they do?
curriculum.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what do they do? They get involved in politics, they get involved in gangsterism, they get involved in drugs, they get involved in all kinds of things because they don't have meaningful activities through which to channel their energies.
Yeah.
A lot of them have creative energy. Now, there's this girl I understand that used to be a Zogo, and she was out there on drugs, and now she's one of the toppest gospel artists in Liberia. Think about that.
Huh.
Think about that. Yeah, I've watched her videos, I've listened to her, and I'm thinking, look at that.
Yeah.
Because somebody provided her an alternative
Yes.
through which she could channel her creative energies. How many of these people out there can be good rappers, good singers, producers, artists? You know,
Yeah. We still got a long way to go, but we'd like to thank you so much for your insights on our country's culture and how best we can come together as one people and understand our identity and also bring our collective talent skills together so that we can make our country vibrant republic. And so we thank you so much for your perspective. And hopefully we'll get you back here, or we'll invite you back here on our program, the Gracious Hope Podcast. Thank you
I,
so much.
I would love to come and hopefully we can concentrate on specific policy issues
Sure.
that will help move our country forward.
Yes, yes, those policy issues, they will be
Yes,
good for us to talk about that. We'll
yeah.
invite you again. Okay,
Thank you,
thank
Alex.
you
I
so
appreciate it.
much. Thank you so much. And we have been talking with our special guest here, Mr. Carlos Wallace Smith Jr., who has been talking more about how best we can explore our culture and how we can come together as one people. So we entitled this podcast, Exploring Liberian Culture and Social Cohesion. Thank you so much for joining us. And I know some people made some comments here about this discussion. The person said, "Wow, surprised that we're talking about this." Also, Balawala was a great show in the 80s. Yes, it was. We need to rekindle the spirit of patriotism. What brings us together? Some of the things that make us to be a typical Liberian. And some of those programs, they were great. Hopefully, we have a lot of talents now in our country, and we have the technology on our side, so the advantage is there. And so, we'd like to thank you for your comments. And this is how we'll leave you today. And we'll be back in next Saturday at the same time, 3 p.m. Central Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and in Liberia, it is at 9 p.m. LIB or GMT. Until then, don't forget this book. My book is on sale right now, Cultivating Liberia's National Pride. Find it at Amazon.com and also BN.com, Barnes and Noble online. And this is how we share our inspiring stories of resilience and determination in our country. And in this book, I emphasize the importance of national pride in shaping individual and collective identities with a call for accountability and your active participation in the political process to restore trust um, in government institutions, and also the need to inspire the younger generation and to reclaim a sense of belonging and purpose. So Liberia's national pride is on sale right now. It's 19.99. Get it from Amazon.com for some of you who live in Europe and other countries, as well as the United States. You can get a copy. And we'd like to thank you for participating today. And someone made a remark here. They said, I will surely check it out on Amazon. Thank you. And somebody's watching us from Buchanan. I'm also from Buchanan, but live in the United States. Good. Okay. We'd like to thank you so much. And of course, we'll be back here next week. And I'm hoping that Reverend Suarez Dele will also be here as we continue. In fact, we will be having a special guest next week, and that will be the former information minister, Lechehu Rennie, who will be talking a whole lot. He has been on the media, so after the transition of a new government, he will be here to talk a whole lot about uh, who he is and understanding his role in our Liberian society, his growing up, and everything. His biography will be exploring that next week. Until then, Mr. Wallace, thank you, Smith Jr. Thank you so much for coming, and we'll see you again. May God bless you, and bye for now.